Hey guys, welcome to Monday Morning Meetups. I'm your host, Aaliyah English. Down here is my co-host, George Goodenough, and today's special guest is Louise Bennings. She's a good friend of Dr. Kilt, and I have not heard much about her story. So I'm really excited to ask, Louise, what made you try carnivore?
The long and short story, the quick version is I had a call from my doctor one day because I had growth on my liver that was, they said it might be cancerous, so I need to go for an urgent 2-week scan. And this was during lockdown. So at that time, I was very metabolically unhealthy, didn't know the word metabolic, what it even meant at the time. I was 90 kilos or 15 stone. And I'm not very tall, so I was carrying a lot of weight. And during that wait for the cancer scan on my liver, I went to the University of YouTube and Dr. Google to find a cure for cancer. Not that I had a diagnosis at the time, but that's how I discovered the low carb world. People like Dr. or Professor Thomas Seyfried, and then Tim Noakes and the low carb world as such. 2 weeks later, I had the scan, and then I had to wait another 2 weeks for the result. In the meantime, I just went down this rabbit hole of low carb, keto, started losing weight, eating healthier, and then eventually found carnivore because that's just the natural way it's been happening. And for a lot of people in our space, I think, we don't all just hear the word carnivore. If you hear Ken Berry like 5 years ago, he never said carnivore. I never heard it. It was just he was talking about real food. And that's how my story started.
Before trying carnivore, what other issues did you struggle with?
Okay, so going back, I was born with congenital heart disease. So this was discovered at 12 years old when I had major surgery to fix the plumbing issue on my heart, if I call it, make it sound just easily enough to explain. And so I had high blood pressure, I had obesity, I had thrush so many times, migraines, I had skin issues on the back of my arms, I had those, growths, I had skin tags develop, I used to have migraines, I used to have bloatedness, I always looked pregnant. There was just all these things. I was allergic to wheat anaphylaxis as a child, but then I sort of grew out of it. But it was actually my body, all this bloatedness was actually still telling me the symptoms of how bad the wheat was for me. But I never put the two and two together until I've gone down this route now and learning about real food and healthy lifestyles. And that's why I eliminated all these things. And carnivore is the ultimate elimination of all these toxins out of my body. So yeah, I lost 30 kilos, which is 5 stone in that time. And I'm just thriving on meat, not surviving on plants.
So you'd say going carnivore, or are you fully carnivore? Are you close to carnivore? Has resolved all these issues?
I will say 99.9%. The only thing I do drink is black coffee. Otherwise, I am full on clean carnivore as you get.
That's awesome to hear. I'm so glad all these things ended up resolving for you. How did you become friends with Dr. Kills? I'm really interested in that.
So he came to the UK with Kerry Mann and Adam Lacey, and they done the Healing Humanity video in London. So then I went down there, and I had my son with me at the time, and I think he was 8 or 9, and Dr. Kilt just loved him, and he loves Dr. Kilt, so he just watches all his movie or videos on YouTube, and he wants to be carnivore like him. So that's how we met.
That's awesome. George, you want to ask her some questions?
Yeah, first question, Louis. It's all right, everybody. I've got to speak up because apparently I'm being a bit quiet. The first question is, how is Jackson? Because I met him at the Great British Meetup, and I was very impressed with his great attitude towards eating meat. So I'd love to hear more a little bit more about Jackson and his journey and how he's getting on.
Okay, so for those who don't know, most people won't know, but my son's got Down syndrome. And it was a birth diagnosis, so we didn't know beforehand, not that it would have ever mattered. And again, on this whole health journey, I then discovered a paper about Down syndrome and metabolic disease and how sugars metabolize different in people with Down syndrome. And so I just reckon, well, that's the way for children to eat as well. And it has made him so much more calmer. One of the biggest things that has happened that I can't prove medically, but there's no other explanation for it. He used to be half deaf, so he used to wear in-ear hearing aids. And after this high-fat meat diet I've put him on, he has no longer needing hearing aids. His hearing restored to normal now, and he doesn't need to wear hearing aids. So that's my, one of the things I can't prove medically, but he just started saying it hurts, take it off. So he wouldn't wear it. His cognitive function has gone up so much. His speech, his understanding. He's in mainstream school. He's so Mr. Little popular everywhere he goes. He's like a little celebrity locally in town. Everybody knows him. So yeah, he's doing fantastic. And again, for people with additional needs or medical conditions that normally comes with a lower immune system, like Down syndrome, the school attendance is very poor. And his was over 90% last year and the year before. So even that in itself says he doesn't get colds as much anymore or respiratory problems like he did previously. So it's all about nutrition.
I completely agree with you. That's so amazing to hear. So, is he carnivore or is he just high fat?
So he is high fat and very heavily meat based. Me and his dad are split up, so he sort of lives between us. But with me, it's whatever I eat. And there is some carbs, so I'm not like totally carbless with him. But it's far less than I would have done years ago. Like I would have cooked a big bowl of pasta and, the portion sizes were ridiculous, but I didn't know that it was all converting to sugar, the grains and pasta and rice and potatoes and vegetables. And the kids don't like vegetables. Now they say, thank you, Mum, never forcing us to eat a veg ever again. So yeah, it's low carb. There's no juices in the house, no cereal, no oats. So there's a few things that I just don't buy. No ultra processed stuff. Everything is single ingredients. And it's just the portion sizes are a lot smaller in carbs and a lot bigger in the meat department. And he loves it.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about your day-to-day life, carnivore, how do you fit that into your job? Go ahead.
So in the mornings, get ready with the kids before school. And I've got 3 children, and they each have their own different way of wanting to eat. So my middle one never has a breakfast. But before this, she used to be forced by me, you have to eat before you go to school. You have to eat your oats. You can't go to school hungry. And she would cry, I don't want to eat. And I'm like, but you can't go to school hungry. My oldest one, she'll just come down and have 3 slices of bacon. And Jackson has a cooked breakfast every morning. I don't eat because I just don't feel hungry. Then do the school run. Then I go to the gym or I go to work. And I work in the community with additional needs people again. I'm an enablement officer, so helping people in the community thrive in whatever their goals are they're trying to achieve, like cooking healthy or going to the gym or getting a bus wherever they need to go or whatever like that. And then if I'm not doing that, I'll be in the gym and train, and then I'll come home and have my 1 meal a day. I don't normally eat more than that because and it's normally beef, butter, bacon, eggs. It's so limited, water and coffee. That's the 5 things in my life. I don't feel deprived. I don't feel bored. And then it's the school run. And then I cook dinner again for the kids. And again, it is meat-based: chicken, pork, lamb, beef, whatever they want, mince. And that's the life. It sounds a bit boring, but that's a family life at the minute, and they're at school, and holidays are very similar.
That doesn't sound boring. That sounds awesome. So how does the rest of your family and maybe your friends react to you and your kids being on a very meat-based diet?
Yeah, that's always a problem, isn't it? So I'm just a nutcase, apparently, and I'm going to die of a heart attack. And, I've made this massive transformation in front of their eyes. The only mum in the park playing on the equipment with the kids, running around. The kids at a event at school, Quidditch, where they play this Harry Potter game. And I'm the only parent getting roped up to help and run around. So, you can't go against those sort of things, but people still think I'm the one that's nuts. But then again, I found the carnivore community, public health collaboration, Healing Humanity, Noakes Foundation, all these other groups, and I belong in that community. That's my tribe. So I don't need my family or friends' validation to live optimally healthy for myself.
I'm just impressed that these kids are playing Quidditch. Like, how are they playing this? Are they getting on fake brooms and running around?
It's hockey sticks.
Okay.
And it's actually not such a difficult game to understand once you get your head around it, but it is quite complex in the beginning. So the kids run around with a hockey stick between their legs, so having to hold on to one hand on the hockey stick. Then there's these golden balls that roll around, and they've got to throw it at one another. And if you get hit, you're out or something. And then the person that's the snitch has to run on the field at some random point and try not to get caught by the other team. It sounds really complicated, but it is fun. And it's very fast-paced. So it's almost like 3 different games within one big game happening. And so it's very confusing if you don't know what's going on to look at it.
Oh, yeah, that sounds so fun. George, I'm going to let you ask her some more questions because you actually know her. You would know better questions to ask.
Okay, yeah, so thank you, Aaliyah. I am got a problem with my speaker. So maybe I can tell a little story myself about how I got to know Louise. Basically, on June the 7th of this year, I decided that I was going to go pretty much 100% full-time behind the carnivore community. And part of doing that was joining Facebook so that I could actually interact with people on Facebook. I'd never heard of Louise, but one of the first people I noticed that I picked up as soon as I mentioned carnivore was Louise, a friend. Didn't know Louise still, but I did notice that invariably when I posted something about carnivore, the first person to pick it up and like it was Louise. So I was kind of intrigued about who Louise might be. And the easiest way for me to actually get to meet Louise was Sunday School Carnivore to tell her story, which I duly did. And just in the conversation that we had surrounding that, she sent me effectively what was her carnivore TV, which is how I found out that she was friends with people like Kerry and Dr. Kiltz. But perhaps even more significantly is the fact that she is an ambassador for the Professor Tim Noakes Foundation over in, I think it's Cape Town, Louis, over in South Africa. And also she's recently, I think, been appointed as an ambassador for the public health collaboration here in the UK. Louise, as you can tell from her accent, does in fact come from South Africa originally. So Louise, what I'd like to ask you to do is tell us about the Noakes Foundation, about your role in it, about South Africa, and I believe that you are actually organising a meet-up in Cape Town later on this month from England, which I think is a brave thing to do, although you have explained that the world is a small place now that we have the internet. And the last thing I'd like you to talk about is the public health collaboration and your role in that, which hopefully will give you a bit of stuff to work on. So I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, so I first started by the public health collaboration as an ambassador, not the Noakes Foundation first, but I knew of it. And that's how I then become part of the community. And I've been running courses at my local GP surgery as a public health collaboration ambassador for patients with metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, fatty liver, and we're reversing all those diseases. And I've got an amazing GP who's 100% behind me, which is how I got the opportunity to do this. And this is what us public health collaboration ambassadors try to do, is to find GP surgeries so we can deliver this message to patients and reaching masses, because one-to-one, it just takes forever. But running the patient groups, I've got about 20 at a time, and they tell their family and friends, so it is growing. I've been to the public health collaboration conferences now, and this is where we meet people like Sean Baker, Anthony Chafee, Eric Westman, the list goes on, and the talks are just amazing and inspirational. And at the public health collaboration conferences, we have stall holders, and one of them was Nutrition Network, which is part of the Noakes Foundation, coming from South Africa. So I made friends with the lady running it, and she also Afrikaans like myself. And we've just been clicking and talking a lot. And this is how George said just now, the world is such a small place. We don't have to live in the same town to connect. And eventually they've asked me to be ambassador for them. And all I have to do is promote stuff and, just keep spreading the word online. I don't really actively have to do anything. But I have done quite a lot of the Nutrition Network courses. So I'm very qualified health coach, carnivore coach, done sports science with them. So I've done quite a lot. And I can deliver this now, these courses as a standalone coach, I think, like you guys have done through Dr. Kilt. So it's just a different arm again. And yeah, I'm now doing a talk in October for the PHC ambassadors again, my life story. So, we've done the British meetup, and this is how we just in this community. And like George said, he became sort of part of the community online. I don't know either how the YouTube algorithm brought us together. And, just love the content he's creating. And here I am today speaking to you. I've watched your first interview with somebody I can't remember, and it's a friend of mine in Scotland, and she's just like you, and she's so young, and you're so inspirational to her. So we have to tell our stories.
That's amazing. I'm like always shocked when I find people who do carnivore like outside of like certain areas of the US. Like there's some towns that are like really popular with carnivores, and then like once you get further out into the UK and like like towards South Africa, like or India or like any of these places, like it's really hard to find people who are doing carnivore. And maybe it's not that there aren't carnivores, but they're not on the media. And it's super amazing that you're just helping people, find a diet that helps them, helps their lifestyle. Would you say that's like rewarding? Like, how does that make your brain feel?
Yeah. So again, in the beginning, I never do courses and say the word carnivore. I just explain what nutrition is and that you don't need certain things because all of the nutrients are in the meat and fat. So it is, eventually you see people just gravitate towards, they'll post a picture of their dinner and it is a piece of chicken with some cheese. Then I just laugh going, oh, that's so carnivore, but I won't say anything because it's patience. But I can see obviously their mind working. And you see all these YouTube videos where Kerry Mann puts like, Dr. Kilt, you changed my life. Dr. Berry, you changed my life. All those messages all the time. It's so powerful. But now the patient says it to me, and then I just get so emotional because it's like, it's not me changing your life. It's just the information that's out there. And I'm just delivering that information, but then they come and buy me a gift or take me out for a meal or give me the biggest hug. And we're all in tears together in the surgery because they've changed their life or their health. That's so important that they haven't been able to do for the last 30 or 40 years. And that it is emotional. So yes, I am changing people's lives, but only providing a mouthpiece from people like Tim Noakes and the likes of Dr. Kilt. So I'm getting that information from professionals, just passing it on again, but getting that same rewarding feeling of, wow, I am changing lives. And I'm doing it all in my own spare time for free, because I'm so passionate about it, that why do we have to pay?
Okay, I want to do a little Q&A session with the comments. So, guys, if you're in here listening and you have questions, please ask. And, for the sake of the live, if you already know something, the answer to, but, it'd be a good question for other people to know the answer to, please ask it as well, because it's hard to come up with questions. What I would like to ask though is, what is your favorite cut of meat? Like, what's your go-to every day? I would rather eat this over everything.
I love mince beef. It's just my favorite. And again, when I was pre-carnivore, I wouldn't eat butter. I wouldn't eat steak. I wouldn't eat anything with fat. I was such a fussy eater. I wouldn't touch raw meat. I can't believe how much I've changed. So now I don't eat anymore for pleasure, and I don't think of it as disgusting anymore. I eat now for nutrition. Now I'm eating butter. I'm eating steak. If you ask my ex, we never went out to a restaurant where I would ever ordered a steak. I would always order the butternut risotto, all the healthy, low-fat foods, because it's heart healthy, isn't it? I would drink Diet Coke, but I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker as as the years gone on, and fatter, and I didn't know why. So yeah, if you can change your mindset, because I was so plant-based and so adverse with meat and fat, because that's how we've been taught as a society. Once you get over that brainwashed state, now I'm eating oxtail, I'll eat any meat, where before I was just like, I can't touch anything.
That's so good. Yeah, I know a lot of people who were like, before they started carnivore, they would say, oh, I could never eat that much meat, it'll make me feel so like stuffy and like bloated. And then they do carnivore and they're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm not bloated. I feel awesome. I have so much energy. And yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. I think it's meat and fiber is what kind of messes your gut up, and it's not just meat. George, do you have any more questions before I go through the comments?
Not exactly a question, but I would like to sort of make a point, and I think Louise is very anybody still I think we lost each other for a little second there. Yeah, the power of actually getting to meet people face to face. I've been doing YouTube for quite some time now, and I got to know lots of people through YouTube, but you tend to be just faces in the screen, names, but you go to the meetup and suddenly these faces and names, the people that you feel they suddenly become real people, real huggable people, in fact. And going back to the Great British Meetup, suddenly all my friends who I've never actually met face to face, so they all turned up, and I just can't believe it. I went and met Carl Day of the Primal Lifestyle at the station, big hug. Stephanie and her sister turned up in my local restaurant where we arranged to meet them. Suddenly, Steph was there. Instead of being on the screen, she was smack in front of me. Again, it was sort of the big carnival hug, which we always do. It's just part of our community now. And indeed, the next morning, then I was hanging around outside waiting for people to turn up, and Louise walked up by herself, and of course I recognised her straight away on account of the fact that we'd worked together on Sunday School Carnival. But suddenly she was there, and once again the big hug, and that's how it just makes a hell of a difference when you get to see these people. And also a big thank you to Louise, because I was the main organiser, if you like, of that event, and it didn't quite go as I foresaw. So about mid-afternoon, things had gone a bit sort of off course, and I'm ex-army, so I like things to go according to plan. And she noticed I disappeared out of the main hall, and she came and found me. I was wandering around outside, being stressed and filled with doubt, and she gave me a bit of a lecture, shall we say. She is much more experienced at these kind of conferences than me, and she basically told me to man up, and that all conferences go wrong, and she's known other conferences go a lot worse wrong than this one. There's nothing really wrong with this one at all. And she told me to be more African about things and stop being so bloody British about things. And so I did take that. So that's just a personal note of thanks to you, Louise, because just at the moment of my doubt and stress, you were there to literally offer that arm around me and basically tell me to grow a set, which I did. It was a very African way of doing things. So anyway, that's that leads us on to the questions. So thanks, Louise.
Okay, you saw my cat. He was being very nosy. Louise, what does your normal day of eating look like, and what is your favorite practice that brings you joy? That was from Kat.
Yeah, I think we've just covered it a few minutes ago, but my routine, like I say, get up and I do things like I go walk outside barefoot in the morning, so grounding, getting the sunlight in my eyes, wearing my blue light blockers. I love sauna, I love gym, just being mindful, reading sort of the Bible or really inspirational daily quotes, just being calm and within myself, planning the day, doing the school run, working and eating my one meal a day. So I'm always prepared. I never make excuses going, I wasn't prepared. And if I'm not, because of an emergency where I've had to go to the hospital with a client or something, I'd rather not eat than just make an excuse like going, oh, there was nothing else. I had to buy this out the vending machine, because no, that's nonsense to me. And my favorite practice, I think I really enjoy going to the gym, lifting weights. So that's one of my favorite pastimes. Do it about 5 times a week. And I do a lot of walking. So I do try to get between 15 to 20,000 steps a day. Go to bed early, so have good sleep hygiene. I think once we're in this space, we learn all these good pillars of health habits, where before I didn't even know of any of these things. And when you see how other people are thriving, then you want some of that too. So it's a really positive feedback.
So you were talking about grounding, and it just made me remember. So I follow a couple of people on Instagram, and they're not really carnivore, but they are like health and wellness, non-toxic, like grounding, like very earthy people. And they're always like posting these like grounding videos. But I'm like, okay, well, obviously I walk outside barefoot a lot, but I'm not going to go, to the grocery store barefoot. I'm not going to like go to work barefoot. I work in a horse barn. Like there's no way. There's like rusty nails everywhere, right? And they keep posting, and then they posted a picture of these shoes, and they are like, some of them are god awful ugly, but they're grounding shoes. And then there are some that are like, okay, a lot of people think they're like ugly grandpa shoes, but I think they're cute and they're quite fashionable in my area. And they're like suede, like Hey Dude type shoes, and they're like leather or suede. And they have the grounding technology in the bottom that is conductive. And I just want them so bad. But here's the issue. They're $180 USD, which is quite a lot for a pair of shoes. So yeah, I don't know why I felt like bringing this up, but I'm like, this is crazy, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I kind of want them. Should I try them out? So what do you guys think? You think I should buy them?
I've got, I don't have the grounding shoes, but I've got the barefoot shoes. So yes, they're very expensive. But it's just so comfortable for me. Again, it's one of these healthy habits. Foot health is just as important as mental health, as physical health, as spiritual health. So all of this, eye health, it's all connected.
Yeah,
So
they're grounding and barefoot shoes. So they got like the wide toe, and then
yes.
they have like other stuff built into it that's supposed to be like conductive from the ground.
If you can afford it, buy it. If you can't, then don't. And maybe one day you'll come into a bit of money and then you can go and buy it.
George, you look like you got something to bring up.
Yeah, it's we're talking about foot health, and just to let everybody know that I actually have a pedicure once every 3 months, and I've been having it, for quite some time now because I work in hobnail, so toe texture boots on a building site, or at least I did until last month, and so my feet get very bad hard skin and that sort of thing, and basically when I first started having these pedicures, I was still very much in the early days of the healing process, and I had all sorts of problems with my feet, including athlete's foot, and there was a sort of a speckled marking on my feet, dark skin patches. And in the course of the 3 years, I've had the same young lady, Deb, who's been doing them, and now she says your feet have changed. So I've watched you slim down and become healthier and more energetic, but your feet have changed as well. She says they're as smooth as silk now, apart from the hard skin. Your nails grow much quicker. There's no sign of athlete's foot. So she said, you're generally much healthier. So yeah, I think your feet are a pretty good indication as well of your overall health. So yeah, I spend I think 30 English pounds on a pedicure, which works out to £10. Oh, hello, cat. Which works out to £10 a month, basically, which I think is money very, very well spent on keeping your feet healthy. Just thought I'd chuck that one in.
I agree. The Chinese has got a saying, and you die from your feet up and you heal from your head down. And if you see so many metabolically ill people around, you will see the state of their feet. Diabetics has got such terrible feet. I used to have terrible cracked heels. My feet, my skin on my heels are smooth like a baby's bum now. Literally, I used to have those deep crevices, and it used to bleed, and it's just gone. It is. There's so much to say for the nutritional side of things.
Yeah, I've got quite a funny story to do with my last check for type 2 diabetes, which was in September of last year. I was actually given the all clear, and that was 3 all clears in a row. So they stopped inviting me for checkups now. I was just clearing type 2 diabetes. I had to have my neuropathy checked, which is the extremity. So the healthcare assistant had to basically tickle my toes with a sort of little metal prod. And she said, if you've got type 2 diabetic neuropathy, you won't really feel this. Anyway, the poor girl had to take evasive action because the end of my toes was so ticklish that I had a reflex reaction and sort of inadvertently kicked upwards. So she actually had to jump backwards, and she laughed and said, "Well, I think we can safely say you are not suffering from type 2 neuropathy." And then actually she had to take my pulse in my feet, which is another indicator of obviously circulation in your feet. So she had to put on basically a stethoscope with a sort of magnetic thing which she put on the pulse of my heel. And again, she put that on and almost jumped out of her skin. She said that was the strongest pulse she's heard in any feet, diabetic or not, ever. So yeah, feet are your extremities are very important. And I'm delighted to say that both the healthcare assistant and my beautician, Deb, agree that my feet are pretty good. So perhaps I should focus less on my ugly 6-year-old foot, become a foot model. I don't know. See what you think.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is hilarious to me because I hate pedicures. I've always had extremely sensitive feet. And yeah, like people just touching my feet, like it's so sensitive, it tickles. I'm like, please don't touch my feet ever, ever. No, no touching my foot. So yeah, it's kind of funny to me that you get pedicures, but I'm glad that your feet health is much better for both of y'all. So Kat also wanted to know if you routinely fast.
So yeah, daily is OMAD, so it's about 23 hours to one eating window generally. So sometimes it might be 2 meals. I can't even remember the last time I had 3 meals. So that I'm just not hungry. I couldn't eat that much in a day. Fasting, I have done a lot of, again, because of the growth on my liver, which turned out to be, if we go back to the when I told you about the growth on my liver, they turned out to be cysts. And when I asked the doctor what causes cysts, they were just like shrugging their shoulders. Oh, well, we don't know, but we just have to keep an eye on it so that it doesn't turn cancerous. So that's how fasting became something I'd done routinely, because fasting brings the glucose down in your body and autophagy and recycles old cells. And that's how I got into fasting. And I would do 3 days to 5 days quite often in the beginning. And because I lost a lot of weight, I don't have loose skin, because again, they say the autophagy makes the skin go away. And then about twice a year around the equinox is very good to do a 7-day fast. So I do that twice a year, and just giving my body a really good reset. And yeah, otherwise I don't eat a lot every day. So that's a routinely fasting daily sort of practice I do.
Oh, yeah, I know a lot of people who do OMAD and they like it, and then I know a lot of people, especially women, like it's not preferable for their hormones. I guess it just depends on how messed up your hormones are. Jeff said, "Good morning, carnivores from Goose Creek, South Carolina." I live in South Carolina. I've never heard of Goose Creek, but hello, Jeff. I'm a goose lover, not particularly Goose Creek. Oh, Nikki said, "Good morning from Alberta, Canada." We love Canada. And then Nikki also said, "That's so interesting, George, about the nurse tickling your feet. That is so funny. You almost kicked her."
We do have a question there, Aaliyah. It's above that last one you just highlighted.
Back in the 80s, my UK friends used to say American portions were huge. When they visited the USA, they gained weight so fast. Is that still the case? Perception.
Louise, do you want to take?
Yeah, I've been to the USA once. I went to Las Vegas, and the portions were massive. So it was just huge. I remember ordering back in the day when I was still eating carbs. I ordered a bacon pancake stack with syrup, only because I'd never eat that, but because it was the American thing to do. And I think they came out with, it's a stack that big. How do people finish it? And everything is like, do you want to go large? You know, you don't, and a large is like a liter drink. And that was really crazy. And how can people fit that much into their stomachs? I don't know, even if your stomach is just this big. So I don't think it's a perception. I think that there is definitely huge portions. But we do have it here in the UK now. A lot of places do sell large. And whatever happens in America, it follows on here. And I see it at a lot of people again, online, seeing it in South Africa. So something needs to be done. I don't know what.
Yeah, I'll chip in here as well, because I'm just back from Wyoming, back from the United States. Obviously, I was staying with a carnivore family, or at least a carnivore household over there. Not pure carnivore, but Tyler, my host, was. So we were eating steak and more steak. And after we finished our steak, we had more steak. Although we did have a power bowl for breakfast on occasions, scrambled eggs and some sausage or that sort of thing. But we only ate out away from home twice. The first one was breakfast in the Cowboy Cafe, which is quite famous in Du Bois, which is just on the way to Yellowstone National Park. And there I had a breakfast of an elk sausage and a couple of fried eggs. So that was fine, not too much, and it was just about the right size. And then on the last lunchtime that I was there, just before I flew out of Riverton, we went to a restaurant in Riverton so that I could eat and not have to eat on the plane. And I had a 6-ounce flat iron steak and a couple of eggs. So again, not huge portions, but, and this is a big but, we didn't eat in KFC, we didn't eat in McDonald's, we didn't eat in Dunkin' Donuts or Wendy's or whatever the other fast food chains. Both of the restaurants that I ate in were one-off standalone operations. So I suspect that is the case because, as Louise said over here now, you can supersize yourself at McDonald's and KFC. You can get a bargain bucket for one and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think the perception definitely is that American sizes are large, but I was carefully managed by Tyler around my eating over there, so I didn't actually experience it myself. But that's my take on it.
I will say that American portion sizes are not just large, but they are so large that it's normalized to take food home with you. And I've heard in other countries, maybe not so much in the UK right now, but like in France and like especially Italy and like those kind of places, like if you ask for a to-go box, these people are going to look at you like you're stupid, right? That's crazy. And yeah, like we get such big portions, like you go to Olive Garden, which is a chain restaurant, and it's Italian food, and you order pasta. It's this big of a plate with pasta, like all pasta, sauce, and meatballs, whatever you got on top of it. And then you get a basket of breadsticks that gets refilled like 30 different times. So you're eating 10 breadsticks dipped in garlic butter or whatever. And then you're eating as much pasta as you can possibly fit in your stomach. And then you're taking home a whole nother portion of 2 whole other portions of pasta. And then they have like a deal on certain days where if you buy the pasta, they bring you more pasta to take home. Like, what the heck? Why is so, like, there's a dopamine response to where if you eat so much food and stretch your stomach, that's kind of a part of binge eating. It's not the root cause of binge eating, but it is why a lot of binge eaters who go to carnivore still struggle with, like, why I want to eat so much. Like, I'm full, but I want more food, and it's not like I want cake and ice cream. I want more carnivore food. And it's because that stretching of your stomach is very dopamine inducive. It's all crazy to me. I'm like, why are we eating so much pasta?
Yeah, I've got a funny story about eating out from to not the weekend just gone, but the weekend before. I think you've probably both seen it on Facebook when myself and Lainey went away and stayed for a night in a hotel, quite a good hotel. They weren't used to carnivores. They did have good meat on the menu, and I had a braised ostrich as a starter. The sides, the usual fillers. So I requested that not be the case, and I just did get the braised ox cheek, and then the main course was braised pork belly and cider. Cider being a local alcoholic drink made from apples in Somerset. That was very good, but again, I turned down the offer of the potatoes and all the stuff that would have filled me up. Now, I don't know what chef made of all this, but he must have thought that I'd gone hungry that night, because when I asked for the local cheese board to follow, there is a photograph on my Facebook, and basically he actually he put a mountain of cheese in front of me, and I thought, right, I'm going to show him. I'm going to eat this, but I couldn't actually finish it. And a to-go bag over in
I think George has paused. So
looks like yeah, it looks like, sorry, you lost me there. A to-go bag over in this country is known as a doggy bag. The idea you're taking home the leftovers for the dog at home. So myself and Lainey had to very carefully wrap this excellent cheese in a couple of serviettes and put them in a handbag. And I actually finished the cheese on Tuesday of last week. So yeah, that was just an interesting little story about that was a supersized portion here in the UK, which did get eaten eventually. So just a fun little story there.
Oh my gosh, I love that. The reason I came across this was because I was at my grocery store and I found like bacon raw milk cheese, like just at my regular grocery store. So I got it, and then I sent the group a picture, and George sent a picture of him eating a mountain of cheese. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Yeah, but definitely I would have eaten all the cheese.
I've never really liked cheese and stuff, so it's not a big part of my diet. And I think I'm a bit lactose intolerant anyway. But I find when ordering these carnivore meals now, I'll just go, can I just have the beef or just the meat patty or something like that? Not that I eat out a lot, because I don't, but there's been about 3 or 4 times a year. But then you'll get 2 patties or you'll get extras, and then they just don't charge you for the extra, and you don't have all this chips and stuff. So it's actually been cheaper for me sometimes to eat out than the rest of the group, but I get double the meat. So yeah, when the chefs, they do feel a bit sorry, or they can't resist to put that little sprig of cauliflower or make it look pretty, or a little bit of, something, because the plate they can't just give you the meat. They have to put something to make it look pretty, or the carrot flour or the cucumber sprigs. It's just quite funny.
Oh my gosh!
I think you noticed that, Louise, because in in my report that I did, on the braised ox cheek, he just could not resist putting on just a sprig of greenery, just to give a bit of colour, and of course that ended up on the side of the plate. And but it happened in my local restaurant as well, but where I know the family very well. And Carla, the waitress, I said, "Look, Carla, tell chef that he's wasting his time to put the sprig of the greenery on top." She said, "George, that wasn't chef, that was me." She said, "That's what I've been trained to do, to dress the steak." Anyway, so I know Carla very well, and she just snatched it off my plate and stalked off with it. I thought, oh, that's me lost a friend. But the next day she came and found me as a friend on Facebook, so I guess she forgave me. So yeah, another story about that.
I don't really have that problem very often, but 99.5% of the time I'm eating out because I eat out a lot. I'm eating Mexican food, and I love Mexican restaurants. I do have my picks sometimes, but I love Mexican restaurants because I want the cheese dip and I want the steak or the ground beef, and that's all that I want to eat. And they are very used to people just eating straight cheese dip or just eating steak. It is kind of questionable what kind of, oils and seasonings they're using, but, I have been to a lot of Mexican restaurants that use just lard, and that seemed to be pretty common where I'm at, but I know if I kind of branch out more close up to Charlotte, which is a really big city, they do kind of get cheaper and use crappier ingredients, so, yeah. Jeff said Goose Creek is 22 miles from Charleston and 8 miles from North. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I actually know where that is. I'm just not very good at directions. All right. There's no more questions for today. Okay, George, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'll tell one more funny story about the meal that I was talking about. It was it just reminded me. When the main course came, which was the pork belly braised insider, the waiter said to us, who's not having any vegetables? Who's just sort of the pork belly? So Lainey said, "Oh, that's for my husband over there." She said he's carnivore and doesn't eat any vegetables. And the waiter very coolly said, "I don't blame him." He said, "Vegetables are overrated." So basically that was a superb bit of service, which I was very grateful for. So yeah, so the message is getting out there, folks. Remember that waiter said vegetables are overrated. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah, I hate it. Sometimes we go to steakhouses after church on Sundays, which has become a pretty common occurrence since I became carnivore. So me and my mom or like someone else will go with us, and I'll be ordering a steak, and my mom will be like, "Yeah, she's carnivore." I'm like, "Can you not tell people that?" Like, it's not that I'm ashamed of it, but they all want to like look at me weird. Then I'm like, I just want, a 30-ounce porterhouse without anything else on it, just the porterhouse. And it's crazy that large of a steak comes with 3 sides. So like, I feel like if you're just getting the steak without the sides, like, and it's that big of a steak, people aren't gonna think, "Oh, that's weird." They're gonna think, "Oh, she's just gonna eat the steak like and be full." And no, my mom's like, "No, she's carnivore. She doesn't eat anything else except steak." You have to tell all these people. But it's all fun. Like, I don't care that much.
I take my own salt with me and my own butter because that's what I need. And so I order steak. But 30 ounces, that sounds huge. Because our portions here, George, is about 8 ounces, 10 ounces, 12, like a big one.
Yeah, 12-ounce steak is considered to be the sort of the upper end of it. It's usually 8-ounce fillet or 8-ounce rump. You see quite a lot of 10-ounce and 12-ounce, just very, very occasionally 16-ounce.
Wow. I get mad when I go to restaurants and all they have is like a 6 or 8-ounce sirloin, because that's very lean, and then it's like no steak. For me, I could eat a whole 30-ounce porterhouse because it's bone-in, so it's got a lot of bone. And then on top of that, like, that's all of it I'll probably eat for like 1.5 days. So I do pretty good with that. But yeah, I used to bring my own salt to the restaurants, and I used to carry salt and a little container of butter in my purse when I was doing, well, I did that for a while. I did Lion Diet for a while. So I didn't carry the butter, but I carried the salt around for a while. And yeah, like, people just used to look at me weird because I had this giant jar of salt, and I used to eat so much salt on Lion Diet, and I just like so much salt like all over my food, and people were like, "What the heck?" It's just funny. And then I started paying attention, and the restaurants we went to ended up having sea salt anyways. Because I would get Fleur de Lure French salt. I don't know. I still have the jar somewhere. It's still got salt in it, but they would always have like sea salt in the little twisty things. So I would just use that now, and just use all their salt. Yeah, but I did used to carry butter around I took an old toothpick container and filled it up with butter, and then I used to carry that around for when I went to places and got eggs, and I would just put the butter on the eggs. So we got about 7 minutes before I have to go. But All for Jesus Carnivore said she's been walking uphill and downhill a lot. She has to put on I have to put on 4 to 5 pounds. I'm wondering if that is more muscle. Oh, I have put on. Okay. Yeah, the more I started walking, I did gain a little bit of weight, which is kind of contrary to most people's experience. But I do think your body, the more you work out, the more water it'll hold on to, because the more electrolytes you need. So also, like, kind of consider that. Yeah, I don't know a lot about that without personally knowing what else you're doing. Oh, what? Oh. Okay. That was being weird. Okay, what else we gotta end on, George?
I think I've just about run out of funny stories and stories about how Louise and myself met. So I know that Louise does have to get away for sharpish for 3 o'clock. So unless anybody's got anything else to say, I haven't really got anything else to add, Aaliyah. So back to you, and see if not, then we can probably get everybody away promptly today.
All right, sounds good. So she also asked, you think it's her body getting more muscular? It definitely could be that. For sure. But I feel like today was really fun, and next week I already have my guest lined up. She is that carnivore mom on Instagram. She's also from the UK, so I'm super excited. George, do you know of her?
I don't think I do. Louise, does that ring a bell with you? It does, yeah. Okay.
I feel bad because I can't remember her name right now. But I have texted her, DM'd her a lot before this, so we are friends. I know so many people now. Names are really hard for me to remember, okay, guys? So thank you all for joining today. And I'm gonna go. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye bye, everybody.